All right, so yeah, it's been a while. Not quite done with the studio, but close enough, and I just wanted to do the last one of these updates. I'm not going to get into absolutely every detail, because I'm sure for some record promo, I'll get into like all the fun stuff, but hey, let's see what the basement looks like. So here we have this cat. He likes belly rubs. Oh yeah. So here's the basically final setup for the live room. So this monitor is here, so I can control Pro Tools as I'm, in the rehearsal room working on the drums or whatever. Got bass traps, 4 of them along the room. Also got them in the corners, including over there we have, you can see an example of the 2 corners on this side. So we have full floor to ceiling bass traps. In the other corners, I only did half a bass trap. Part of it is because I'm dumb and didn't really think about the placement of that through box for instruments and speaker cables when we were placing things. Things like that happen a couple times. This Ethernet audio pass-through also is partially covered up by a bass trap. I'll eventually probably lift the bass traps up a little bit, but I don't really need all 8 channels of those Ethernet pass-throughs right now, so I'm just kind of leaving it. PA speakers here are also doubling as my quick monitoring for Pro Tools if I'm in this room. This is more of a recording space than a rehearsal space anyway. But if we ever do need to have vocals going through the PA here, I have this set up so that I can just send vocals through the main audio pass-throughs and into the interface and actually use the recording interface as the mixer for vocals. So the PA speakers are controlled with that headphone amp right there. And that is also used for monitoring for a vocal setup or any other time a person's actually playing in here. Haven't exactly figured out what the sweet spot is for recording vocals, but right now I've been using this corner. Besides having amps in here, starting to set up this closet area as an ISO recording space. So right now I've got a bass cab in here, so if I need to record some bass guitar, I have some extra buffer so I hear none of it from the control room. Also got some shelving in here now to keep mic cases and yada yada back over here. More shelving that's kind of in progress. I haven't figured out exactly what storage system I'm going to be doing, but right now these crappy Target cubes and this old touring rack case kind of do the trick. Got some more microphones in here. Microphones up here. Have cable storage, so I was kind of hesitant to ruin this door, but hey, I can open it up and then see all the cables. So that's nice. And let's go into the control room. So this space is basically wired up now. The one thing I haven't done is wire up the final connections to each of the amps with the amp switcher. Eventually I'll be able to just turn a knob and select between any of these amps. Right now I have the speaker outs for all the amps set up, so I can select them basically with here, but at the moment I actually have to just manually plug this cable into whichever amp I want to use, so whatever. Pedal storage on the wall there, back there. Have guitar storage along this wall. I stained this beam and screwed it into the wall here so that I could put the guitars just kind of wherever I wanted. It's a little tight. I maybe should have done 5 guitars wide instead of 6 guitars wide, but hey, I like having access to all the guitars and it basically fits. Besides that, I've got just like a silent dark glass for recording bass if I don't want to deal with amps. Have a 2 notes that I have as one of the speaker options if I want to record guitars silent or even a bass amp silent without amps. This is my main vocal preamp and compressor, and I could also use it as just the compressor side of it in mixdown. Tuner that everything's hooked into, so I've got a passive and an active guitar DI, so I can plug into either one of those and then it goes into this buffer which splits out into the tuner. And then this pedal drawer isn't fully set up yet. Eventually I'm gonna put Velcro down and have a more final setup there. And then I can use this fryette if I want to have an attenuator on the guitars. I've got all my TT cables hanging up there, so I can use those for the patch bay on the interface here. So this is actually my main mixer. It's just a, there's no controls on it, so everything is just unity gain. But it does have transformers in it, so it beefs up the sound a little bit, and more importantly, just lets me use some outboard gear and summon all together. And then it also has a slight texture circuit if I want to do a little bit of sound coloration there. Patch bay here, so I've got on this side is all the outputs from the interface and from my Apogee. And then on this side is 8 of my preamps and then 16 channels of effects. So if I want to plug into any of the effects that are over here, I can hook into these EQs and compressors and so forth. Some 500 series here. This EQ, which is in theory not amazing, but for whatever reason it tends to work out on bass. Here's a stereo bus compressor that I tend to use on drums. Back here, I don't use it much at the moment. I'm still figuring out if I'm going to be using it in my setup, but I have an 8-channel mixer that I can use for drums. On this side is all the preamps. So I got 2 channels of Great River, a couple channelers, decking, a Hairball Lola, and then I have a couple more preamps at the band's rehearsal studio, so I can drop in a couple other preamps here if I need it. And then the universal audio here is 4 channels, and then it also lets me hook in an additional 4 channels of external preamps. So if I want to expand this out and have like another 4-channel whatever, I can hook that in there. This guy pulls out, and keyboard in here along with some other junk. Bass traps in the corners. Just picked up these Dynaudio monitors, which I'm pretty happy about. That one has a picture of my great uncle Cat, who I found in San Francisco. And on the other side, I've got a picture of Lenny. So if I need to tell him that I need to leave work early so that I can work on the science fair, you know, he can let Mr. Burns know. This monitor is way wider than I was expecting it being. You know, I read the measurements, but I didn't quite realize. So it's a little much, but it gets the job done. And yeah, that's pretty much everything. And there's a lot of cats and dogs. So yeah, that's the studio. Basically done with the setup. Always going to be expanding and wiring some stuff up, but yeah, it's actually pretty much fully functional now. I guess this is the last of these videos I'll do for a while. I'm sure we'll have some album press cycle where I'll go into more detail of stuff. I'm sure there's some things I didn't think about. Some things I would have done differently, but pretty happy with it. So we'll see you in the studio. Maybe not, I don't know you.